Welcome to Canada's podcast.
Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this is Calgary's podcast on Canada's Podcast Network. Joining me today is Annabelle Mastalic, who is founder and principal of ADM Interiors in Calgary. Thanks, Annabelle, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mario.
Well, let me just start by asking you just a little bit about ADM Interiors, what it is and what you do.
Sure. So my company is an interior design firm here in Calgary, and we specialize in residential projects, and we focus on anything from renovations to new builds to decorating projects.
Okay. And when did you start?
I started my business in May of 2019, so 2.5 years into business.
Okay. And just curious, what does ADM stand for?
That's my name. So it's the initials of my name.
What's your middle name?
That actually goes off of my maiden name, which is de Guzman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, super. Tell me a little bit about the history behind setting up the company. What's your background and why did you want to go into this field, I guess?
Yeah, so my background, my first career started in the healthcare industry. So I nursed for quite a long time, 17 years before coming into the design business. And, it started with my own renovation at home, and we had renovated our entire home. And that was probably about 10 years ago now. And then we outgrew that home and built our home that we're currently in now. So that was kind of the impetus to look into this a little bit more. I always had this passion for interior design and really loved that process of building our home and thought, I'm gonna explore this more. So I went back to school while I was still nursing and loved it and ended up getting a job with one of my interior design profs at the university. Oh. So that kind of started all of this. I got a job with her and it just turned out fantastic. I loved the experience, left nursing, worked with her for a little bit and then got some experience with another design firm and then went off on my own after that. So that's kind of the background, how I got started and how I fell into this.
Curious, what kind of nursing did you do?
Well, I did a whole gamut. Started out in medicine and then moved my way into surgery where the bulk of my profession was focused in. So that was in the operating room, and then did the last 5 years of my nursing career in research with one of the neurosurgeons here in Calgary.
So I'm curious about this. The nursing career, what do you think you learn from that career that is helping you in the current business?
Well, I think the principle of how I do my business now with promoting health and preventing injury and illness has spilt over. It kind of gives more meaning to what I do now, and that how I create my designs and how I design my spaces always has a focus on how is this impacting my clients' health? How is it going to optimize their health later down the road, say in 10 or 15 years when maybe their lifestyle changes and their needs changes? So there's a lot of, team collaboration is another thing. So in my nursing background, I collaborated with a lot of different disciplines, docs, occupational therapists, respiratory therapists. It was very collaborative. And in this industry where we're collaborating with contractors and builders and trades, there's a lot of collaboration that happens there. And so, I'm kind of focusing this now on, I'd love to open the conversation up in the industry as far as, how can we design homes better in today's environment so that they are serving our clients and homeowners well in the future?
Let me ask you about the industry itself. Why is it interior design? Why has that become more popular today? I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, nobody really thought about this. You had a home and that was the home, right?
Yeah.
Why has that changed, do you think?
Well, I think it's especially in this last year with COVID, everybody's home now more often. And my business in the last year in 2021 has been super busy. Everybody is staying put. So the investment that would have been, put into travel, say, is now kind of in the home. People don't want to buy, part of the reason for that also is the economy. And so why not renovate the home that you're already in and make it useful for you so that it lasts longer for you?
Yeah. And a lot of people obviously working from home. Their offices are now from home, and they come to the realization that, oh man, my home's not equipped or not set up properly to do this, and especially if this is the reality going forward for many people, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's kind of coming out as we're coming to an end here in 2021 is the adaptability factor in homes. Like you said, people are at home. There's also clients that have their parents moving in with them. So you're seeing multi-generational housing and needing to, make space for parents that they're taking care of. So, I have seen a lot of renovations in this past year with people wanting to expand, to make space for offices or to make space for incoming parents, just more people in the home.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to switch gears a little bit, talk a little bit about being an entrepreneur. What was the biggest challenge that you faced in setting up your own business?
Well, with a background in healthcare and all of a sudden coming into business, I think the biggest challenge there was the mindset shift that, I came from a career of serving patients to now trying to figure out a business model where I'm serving clients from a business perspective and trying to navigate that world and what comes with all of that. So there was a lot of, business coaching that happened in that time frame to kind of get my head wrapped around what does the business model look like and how is that going to carry me forward with the skill set that I have and the new skill set that I've gained. So
yeah, when you look at being an entrepreneur, what are the kind of things that you like about being an entrepreneur? What are some of the positives for you on that side of things?
Well, definitely the flexibility. It gives me some flexibility as opposed to, again, I come from doing shift work where you're on from 7:30 to 3:30. Whereas this, it has its pros and cons. You're, being a business owner, as we all know, you could be working all hours and there is no break, right? Which I've found in the first year of business. And now, it's getting better. But I can schedule, when I want those projects to happen versus, something that's continuous and I don't have control over that. So definitely more control, more flexibility, a little bit more freedom that way. So that kind of comes along with that.
Now, when you were setting things up and even to this day, do you recall any specific advice that you were given by anybody about being an entrepreneur that's helped you, or anything you read that's really helped you in this journey?
Yeah, and I've read quite a few books, and one that stands out for me would be, it's called Deep Work by Cal Newport. Are you familiar with that author?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he's a fantastic author, and he writes very much about, getting rid of the distraction. And we all know in today's world with technology so readily available to us that, to really have some clarity in the direction that you want to go in your business, really focus in on that. And, don't worry about what everybody else is doing. You stay in your own lane, have the end goal in mind. And just stay in your lane, and you are where you are because that's where you're meant to be at the time. So,
and when you look at like being an entrepreneur, and I think it's for everybody, right? There's two elements of it, right? There's the thing that you do, right? So you're an interior designer, but there's also the business side of things. How do you juggle both of them, right? Because you really do need to spend time in both, right? To be successful.
Yeah, there's that saying that it's for interior design that 80% of it is business and 20% of it is design, and it is so true, because in this world, and when you go through school, you don't get taught that business stuff in interior design school. You kind of learn it as you go. And how do you marry the two? It's just kind of learning as you go, and tweaking and refining your processes as you go along.
Yeah, it's always an educational journey along the way, right? Then
it is.
Learn by experience, right?
Yep. And having a mentor, like I said, I had my interior design prof hired me on, and to this day, she is still a mentor for me so often, and she's got years of experience behind her with her business, that she's a great resource for me to go back to, ask questions, and because of her experience, she guides me.
So what do you do? Obviously, as we said, being an entrepreneur takes a lot of time. It could take 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, really, for people. What do you do to take a break from it? And how do you do that?
Well, I've got 2 kids, 2 girls that are 9 and 11. And so they keep me pretty busy outside of work. So they are really involved in sports. My husband coaches their soccer team. And so I'm often driving them around to soccer. So, my kids keep me busy. We also get away to the mountains whenever we can. So we love to do outdoor stuff. We're hiking, biking, skiing, you name it. We're very outdoorsy people. And that's a good kind of refresh, just kind of get away from things.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned some of the activity stuff. I was just having a conversation with another entrepreneur the other day, and, she talked a lot about going outdoors and how even like for walks outside, that ideas come to her. Like, where do your ideas come from?
Definitely nature.
Yeah.
So you do go out on a walk, and I actually do try to make a conscious effort if my time allows for it in the day. Is at lunchtime I will go outside for a walk just to kind of get some fresh air, and I'll see things, whether it be like the texture or a pattern in something by the lake, or something that I'm just seeing outside in the trees. It's inspiration for me. So I pick up on those colors, I pick up on those textures, and then I can translate that into something and create something.
Yeah. So are you from Calgary?
Yes, born and raised.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Not many of them around, are there?
I know, I get that a lot.
So you've obviously seen how the city has evolved over the years. A million plus now, whatever it is, 1.2 million plus. What is it about doing business in Calgary that you like? Do you think it's any different than anywhere else?
Well, I've never done business anywhere else or lived anywhere else. It's always been Calgary. So I guess it's kind of hard to compare that. But what I love about Calgary and the community here is that our community in the design and build industry, we're a very tight-knit group. And some of the groups that I belong to here, some of the business design groups, we're very open in sharing ideas and collaborating with one another. Everybody's always talking about, lessons that they've learned in their business and sharing that information. So, it's great. And the people here like to do business here, as far as my clients go. It's a good niche here. They're looking for unique stuff, like I would say, like if I was comparing design in Toronto and Vancouver, Toronto is definitely more forward thinking that way. Calgary catches up all the time, I find, with some of the stuff that happens more out east, but Calgary's open to change. They like different stuff, creative things. Yeah.
Okay. Just going to backtrack a little bit. I want to go back to your nursing career. What was the appeal or attractions to get into that career initially?
I loved sciences when I finished high school. And my mom was a nurse. So That also too kind of plays a role there. So yeah, I went into nursing right after finished high school and got my degree at U of C.
Was there anything else you were thinking of to do as a career?
Architecture actually
Oh,
was
really?
one of them. Yep. I had always actually had that kind of in the back of my mind. And I guess because my mom was a nurse and I come from a family of nurses, that just kind of a natural progression in my world.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a couple of personal questions. What's your favorite drink?
Oh, Moscow Mule.
Okay, favorite food?
Favorite food, sushi.
Oh, okay. Any particular kind?
All of it.
Oh, yeah.
I love all of sushi.
Me too.
And Korean. I would have to say I love Korean food too.
Oh yeah, those barbecue ribs. Gosh, they're like heaven.
Yeah.
What about a movie? Like, what do you have a favorite movie?
Oh, that's a tough one because I love movies. The Avengers movie, that last one, Endgame. I did like that movie.
Okay, and I know you mentioned a book in earlier, but do you have a favorite book?
Well, I just finished reading Robin Sharma's The 5 a.m. Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a Canadian author, and I just finished it. It's fantastic. And actually, for any business owner out there,
do you get
what's
up?
that?
Yeah.
I do get up at 5 a.m. I do get up at 5 a.m. Yeah, it's a game changer for me to be able to get up at 5 and
really.
I get my exercise in at 5 a.m. and do a little bit of just short meditation before I start my day, and it just gets my day off to a right start.
It's interesting you say that because years ago, I remember I've always been an early riser, even though my hours in the media industry have like fluctuated up and down over the years, right? But when I had settled into sort of regular hours, that was the same way. I was out 5 a.m. And I usually would go out for a walk. And I just, I've always found like how deathly quiet it is at that
I
time,
love it. Yeah.
right. It was just wonderful for going out for walks. I don't do that now, but I still get up at 5, and I find that period of time again like so peaceful and quiet. I have to smarten up because what do you do immediately? I do is wake up, get on the phone or get on the computer, right, and I have to kind of retrain my brain, I think, and into doing stuff like other stuff, like whether it's some exercise or whether it's a meditation or some just quiet time. And it is an interesting period of time.
It is. My best mornings are, now it's a bit too dark to do that now, but in the summer, I love getting up at 5 and going for my run, and the sun's just coming up. Nobody's out. It's quiet. It's the best part of my day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how, as I said, how still everything is. Like there's hardly anybody around. There's hardly any vehicles driving. It's a perfect time. Interesting. So what did you get out of that book? Like what?
Balance, for sure. Balance, trying to balance out personal family life with business, and how you can do that effectively and be productive and still feel like you're sane. Yeah.
Oh, okay then. And what about vacation place? Do you have a favorite vacation spot?
We haven't been able to go to Hawaii because of COVID, but we do like to go to Maui. But locally, we do go out to a place in BC, a cabin just out in the mountains, just right before Fairmont. And we always go there every Christmas, and we cross-country ski there. Okay. So that's, favorite place of ours for sure.
Last question I have for you is, if you were offering advice to entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs, what would you say to them?
I would say that, no matter how hard it is at the beginning, stick with it. Stick with it. Get rid of the distractions. Write down on a piece of paper why you got into it. What is the reason you got into business? Tuck that away somewhere. And on those days that you feel like everything's going to explode, pull it out.
Yeah.
And, ground yourself and bring yourself back to why you're doing this in the first place.
Yeah.
And you do that, it keeps you grounded and focused.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I don't know what the statistics are, exactly, but I know, having read over the years, the number of businesses that close in the first year or whatever, and it's usually because of that, right? It's that
Yep.
They find the challenge too daunting and they just give up too early, right? And
Yep.
we all probably have heard tons of stories about how some people just persevered and over that first hurdle or first challenge, and they're now like mega companies or whatever, right?
Yeah, and if I could just add to that, if you find something, so whatever that business journey might be, you got to really, really dig deep when you start to really figure out what that purpose is, because in those times where it seems hard, nothing can shake you because you've got a deep purpose for why you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my 2 cents on it. But, I think if something that you're really passionate about and something that's really meaningful to you, even when times are tough, you'll just persevere through it because it means a lot to you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you very much, Annabelle, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, super. That was Annabelle Mastalic, who is founder and principal of ADM Interiors. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this has been Calgary's podcast on Canada's Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us today.